living means there will not be any stylet. So what free living nematode do? It is benefit to the nature. Nature in sense, it will goes on feed the available bacteria in the soil zone or whatever it may be, or fungi, and it always helps to recycle the nutrients to the available survival habitat. It is a free living nematode. Coming to the parasitic nematode, the purpose what we are today is to learn how these parasitic nematodes, in what is the threat of these parasitic nematodes, what are the impact or what are the repercussions of these nematodes. We will today learn about this parasitic nematodes. So these parasitic nematodes, they can parasitize humans, animals, plants, whatever it may be, any living organisms, it will parasitize. So parasitize means it has a stylet. So it is the fundamental thing. Next, we'll see and learn about morphology. How this plant parasite nematode will be. It is very small, mostly microscopic. This plant parasitic nematode, or we may call as a PPN, plant parasitic nematode. This is a microscopic in nature. We can't see directly with our naked eye. It always lives in the soil only, and it is microscopic. It is non-segmented and vermiform. The size ranges, as it was mentioned, that is a microscopic. Its size ranges from 0.3 to 2 mm. With this, you can imagine how it will be. Unless until you are equipped with the microscope, we can't see the nematodes. Body shape is typically vermiform, thread-like, as the name itself indicates, tubular, tapering towards both the ends. If you see the head and tail, most of the nematodes will be tapered. And in this, both males and females are similarly, just similar look alike. There is no much difference between the males and the females. Coming to the nematodes, parasitic nematodes, in some females, depends upon the genera, they may deviate from different shape, attaining different shape. They may deviate by forming a kidney shape like this, or a lemon shape like this, or a tubular shape like this. Once these shapes are formed, these are nothing but females. Males remains always vermiform. They will not acquire or they will not change their shapes. Only some females will change their shape. These are the parasitic nematodes. On maturity, only females will gain these kind of shapes. And nematodes are dioecious, means males and females are separate. They have a well-developed nerve system, but they lack respiration and circulatory system. Then you may have a doubt. Then without respiration, how it survives? Pseudocoelom. With this only they will survive. With the soil itself, they will, with the help of pseudocoelom, they'll survive and they'll have a respiration. With the skin itself only, they'll do all the activities. And next, let us see how the life cycle. The life cycle of the parasitic nematodes have 6 stages. One is egg stage, next 4 juvenile stages, and the adult one. Egg is first stage, 4, and the adult is 1. So total put together 6 stages. Generally, they will not have reproduction unless until if unfavorable conditions exist. If there is a favorable conditions, pathogenesis only, they'll reproduce itself, thereby slowly increasing the progeny and going on damaging the crops. Once egg production is done, the individual completes its life cycle. Why? Because after that, automatically the next stages will goes on, and then adult will come, and further the generation will goes up to the extent level wherein unless until the host is deficient. So in general, these nematodes lays eggs almost 50 to 500 eggs per female, and the life cycle also matters. The life cycle also varies from gender to gender. That I'll go and tell you the next slides. So it depends upon the nematode species. The same female can produce almost 1,000 eggs also. It depends upon the availability of the host material for producing the number of eggs. The length of the life cycle, as I told you that egg laying capacity and the length of the life cycle also varies, depends upon the external factors, that is hosts and the temperature and the habitat where they are living. As I told you that the nematodes are microscopic, which can't be seen with the naked eye. They always lives in the soil only. The moment the soil is deficient of moisture or the water film, they can't survive. So once there is a water, 100% there is a chance of survival. If there is no water and the soil is dry, 100% there is no chance of survival of the nematodes. So it depends upon these three factors. The life cycles also varies as the nature itself provides its different conditions to overcome these hazardous what do you mean the disadvantage conditions. They also slowly change or shift their life cycle modules. And during summer months, when the temperature reaches somewhere around 35 to 40 degrees centigrade, they what they will do is they will reduce their life cycle maximum up to 4 weeks only. They'll complete their entire life cycle. See, as I told you in the previous slide, that total 6 stages. If you see, this is the egg. Egg. Next, how many? 4 juvenile stages are there. If you see here, within the egg itself only, it will take a first molt. If in the second molt, this is called the juvenile stage 2. Once the juvenile stage 2, we called as J2. Once this J2 emerges into the soil, this is the main culprit causing the damage to the all the crops, J2. So whenever we are going for analysis of the soil and to see the root nodes, once this J2 is there, definitely we can find this J2 in the soil. This J2, the more J2 is there in the soil, the more chances of getting damage by means of causing different symptoms that I'll show you in the next slide. So once the J2 emerges means here we can't control unless until the entire treatment has been taken up with the prophylactic measures. So here the egg, larval stage, second mold, third mold, fourth mold, adult, and at the time of fourth stage, up to fourth stage, then only it will either change into male or female. If it is changed into male, then automatically they will not have any egg laying capacity. So they will just only go for mating or else they will just die. Further, there will not be any life cycle for this male. If it is a female, then comes the further generation, that is it will acquire different shapes. As I told you in the previous slides, these females may acquire, depends upon the genera, they depends upon the egg laying capacity, they will acquire different shapes, that is a lemon shape or some kidney shape or tubular shapes, cylindrical shapes like that. Then slowly these adult female, what will happen again, it will come and enter into the root zones of the plants. Then they'll slowly start taking the food material. They'll have the egg laying capacity. Again, these eggs will come again into the soil, and from again the soil, this entire life cycle takes place. So this entire life cycle takes place only depends upon the factors, as I already told you, that temperature, host, and the habitat. See, as I told you that nematodes are microscopic. We can't see with the naked eye. If you see, these are the microscopic pics wherein we isolated in our laboratory by collecting the root samples or the soil. In the soil, see how the nematodes will be. And this is the pictures, and this is the female nematodes. Generally, this kind of, this is J2. As I already told you, this is a juvenile stage 2, wherein it will not be converted into either male or female. Only at the fourth stage only, it will be converted into male or female. If you then after converting to female, then see how they are acquiring the shape. This is also female. So once it is turned into female, then slowly it will again enter into the root zone. It will acquire the shape. As I told you that it is parthenogenic, there is no need of copulation. If possible, most of the time, if there is a chance, then the male will have copulation, then egg laying capacity, and again these eggs will go on hatch out, again they'll come into the soil, again the entire life cycle goes. Then it will goes on take space and damage the root system. This is a taxonomy of nematodes. Circinata, Phasmidae. This is the latest taxonomy. So we generally Tylenchidae is the one of the important order where all the plant parasitic nematodes are included. What is the purpose of learning this nematodes, knowing about the nematodes? These nematodes parasitize all type of plants. Since we are horticultural faculty, we are more focused or much oriented towards horticultural crops. But these nematodes will parasitize all plants, including weeds also they will parasitize from lower fungi to higher fungi, higher plants, wherein they will cause damage both agricultural crops and the horticultural crops. In the estimated results, it shows that almost 14.6% is noted compared to the developed countries. And overall consumption is also damaged to 12.3%. So with this capacity, with this recording the data, we can just have an idea how these nematodes are dangerous and how threat they're causing to the human food consumption, sir, food production, sir. Why? Because our population is going in a geometrical way, as we all know that nowadays even our country itself is nearing to 140 crores. So with this production, agriculture production, we have to take utmost care how to improve or increase or enhance the production levels. So the other side, we know different pathogens with different pathogens are coming, and wherein one by one is taking its own share. Earlier these nematodes were there, but nowadays because of this commercialization of the agricultural practices or else availability of the different inputs, nowadays one by one the agents or the pathogens are taking its own share. Now nematodes is taking more or less nearing to 10% as an important major threat to the agriculture production. And at the national level, if you see the damage caused to horticulture crops, Melodogene, where we call as root knot nematodes, Rotilincus, and Dadophilus in banana. These are the major important genera causing the damage to the agricultural production, or especially to the horticultural crops. Even there are some nematodes wherein it has been not been reported in India, but already they have taken its own stake in causing damage in the other abroad, wherein especially in the citrus. So before going further, so far as we know that we have learned about what is nematode, how it will be, and the importance of that. Then next, how it feeds. Unless until if it was known that it is an enemy, we should always find out its nature, how it is causing damage to the crops. So unless until we know the mode of mechanism, the mode of damage, then unless until we know that mechanism, we can't go and manage or we can't handle the nematode known threat. So first of all, how nematode feeds the host crops. There are depend upon the feeding types. There are categorized into three. One is ectoparasitic. The second one is semi-endoparasitic, endoparasitic. Ecto, as we all know, the meaning of ecto is external. Semi-endoparasitic means it will only put its head. It will only put its head, but the rest of the body will be within the soil. It will not move, but it will head will be there. And endoparasitic means entire body of the nematode will get into the host plant. So here, ectoparasitic nematodes. Ecto, as already told, that they're very free living nematodes with the soil only. So as and when the plant is raised, so automatically the nematodes will be there in the soil. If it is an ectoparasitic nematode, what we will do is we will just puncture the root systems. It will go on puncture. It will go on giving thrust to the roots, but it will not have any permanent feeding capacity, feeding site on the host root. So with this, what happen if any chemicals availability, if any chemical application is there or any drift in the soil, generally there is a chance of getting away from the root zone. And here within this ectoparasitic also, there are migratory ectoparasitic. Means they always spend their life cycle entire in the soil only. So once the root is detached, automatically it will goes off. Coming to the sedentary ectoparasitic, what will happen is once they will just attach to the root system only, but it will either the head or its body will never enter to the host. Only the stylet part, it will goes on punch into the same point where it started punching the root system. So it is called as sedentary ectoparasitic. Coming to the semi-endoparasitic, as I already told you that the anterior part of the nematode, that is head, it will get fixed to the cortex, means the root zone after entering into the epidermis. Once the root zone, external epidermis is crossed, it will enter into the cortex. So one more important point here, what you have to learn is these nematodes will always attack the only feeder roots. Why? Because the plants have, as you already know, that there are two. One is anchor roots and the other one is feeder roots. Anchors roots, as it gives supports to the plant to sustain or to survive, to give the base. Feeder roots are always there to provide the sufficient nutrients so that it will grow and give whatever the inputs we give, it will again gives in terms of yields. So these nematodes will always attack the tertiary roots, we can say, or else the feeder roots. It will not attack the main roots. So that for that reason only, it is very easy for us to see the roots just by digging the soil some 10 to 15 centimeters from the top soil to see any nematode instance are there or not. That I'll show you in the next slide. So here the nematodes, as I told you, semi-endoparasitic means it will enter its head into the cortex region, but the body, rest of the body will be in the soil only. It will not enter into that. Coming to the endoparasitic, here the entire nematode will enter into the root zone. So the major problem or the major loss caused to the agriculture, means including both horticulture and agriculture, is because of this endoparasitic nematodes only. Why? Because once the nematode enters into the root zone, then it will slowly goes on producing the eggs. For that, galls will form. Once the roots are found with galls, you can say that it is melodogeny. Root not nematode means it is a melodogeny. The other nematodes depends upon the conditions. It will not enter into that. It will only punctures. We can call it ectoparasitic and semi-endoparasitic. Different diseases are there, different genera are there. That you will be learning in the next slides. See, this is how the mode of mechanism or the mode of damage. Endoparasitic, this is a nematode. Already it has entered into the root zone of the plant. See how the root got bulged. There is no chance. So with this gall formation, we can assume that already nematode has entered into that. It has already started producing the eggs. Because of changing the shape of the female nematode, slowly the galls will form. Coming to the semi-endoparasitic, as I already told you, they will feed, enter into the cortex. It will be permanent and they will attain the shape like this. And see, it is ectoparasitic, only the stylet will be entered, punctured, and it will be giving lot of thrust, puncturing the entire root. Slowly it will get, the plant gets weakened. So this is the mode of feeding habit of the nematode. And for furthermore clear-cut understanding, here you can see how the nematodes goes. This is semi-endoparasitic nematode, and this is how the females goes on entering into that. It will lay eggs. The eggs will be hatched here. The female will be there only within the root zone only. With this, they form galls, and this is a migratory ectoparasitic. Wherever only it will just puts its stylet. And once it goes on damaging the crop or the damaging the crops, so how what are the parts being affected with these nematodes? If you see the damage caused by the nematodes, we can categorize into two: above ground and below ground. Above ground, what are the parts being affected with the nematodes? Feeding on flower buds, leaves and bulbs. Here you may have get a doubt. Already, as I told you, that nematodes will always live in the soil. How they are damaging the flower buds, leaves, or bulbs? They can crawl with a small film of water from bottom to top. So with this, they will only cause damage to the upper, above the ground level, that is seeds, flower buds, stems, and all these things. And coming to the tree trunk, of course, this has not been reported in India, but for information only, just it has been taken up. Red ring nematode, which is in the coconut, wherein the above the ground level, if you cut the trunk, you can see the red patch that I'll show you in the next. And coming to the below ground feeders, means only the root zone. This is above ground means the flower buds, leaves, and bulbs. Once coming to the below ground means compulsory they are endoparasitic or semi-endoparasitic. Endoparasitic, as I already told you, that sedentary and migratory, as it's cyst nematode, root knot nematodes, and again migratory means lesion nematodes, burrowing nematodes. And these burrowing nematodes in banana is one of the major nematode causing a lot of damage to the banana, especially in Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and even in Andhra also we have been observing this instance of this burrowing nematode. And semi-endoparasitic, as I already told you, only the head will be entered. So in citrus, and especially in citrus, we find this kind of citrus Tylanculus, and reniformis, it is a kidney-shaped Rhotilinchus, and ectoparasitic, it is sedentary and migratory, as already told you in the previous slide. So, in general, what is the opinion about the nematodes? Nematodes will generally not kill the plants immediately, as like a bacterial disease. Suppose if you go with the bacterial disease, once we found that it is a bacteria, by the time of some 4 to 5 days, the entire crop will be died. It will totally get dried. So we can't expect any single chance of getting any produce if it is either bacteria. To the next extent is fungal. So fungal disease, what will happen? It will majorly malformed or disturb the entire produce. But coming to this nematodes, as the mode of mechanism or the mode of damage is different, how by making damage through with its stylet, it will takes lot of time. But here the problem is, as we know that the pathogens will always tries to enter into the root system with the any injuries or mechanical damage. As in your studies also, we learned that pathogens will enter once there is a mechanical damage. So once the nematodes cause damage to the plant system, what will happen is immediately the next secondary parasites, the secondary pathogens will enter, especially the fungal and bacterial. So it will cause directly indirect damage to the plants. It is more problem in the protected cultivation, that is nurseries. In general, what happen? We always get confused or mimic with the water stress or some chlorotic or wilting conditions. So in general, farmers are not aware about this pathogen. Why? Because a lot of studies are not been taken up in the nematode management, or a lot of awareness is not there on the incidence of the nematodes causing damage to the crops. So more or less, it always tries to mimic with the water stress or any some nutrient deficient condition. So let us see how the symptoms in the plants. If you go to the field level, you should have an idea. Generally, what will happen if you go to the field level, farmers will say, sir, this is how this is symptom. Then immediately you'll say, okay, this is a zinc deficiency, some potassium deficiency, some chlorotic, some wilting, or you just apply for fungicide. But fungicides are not at all useful against these nematodes. Why? Because this nematicides mode of mechanism is different, fungicides mode of mechanism is different. So see how the seed galls, as I told you, that aerial nematodes, once the seeds are affected with this one, the seeds will be like this. So by seeing this, we can't have an idea whether it's a nematode damage or generally malformed or some sooty mold or some charcoal head or some other chaffy grain like that. We always get confused. But this is how the nematode infestation takes place. Here, as I told you that the coconut red ring, this is also because of this nematode. So far, it has not been observed in India, but it will be, there may be a chance, but we hope so it will not be coming to the India. And see these flowers, tuberous flowers. By seeing this, we may see that it is a sun scale or some blight like that, or any some leaf blight or flower blight like that. But actually, it is a nematode instance, nematode damage. See here, the mummified, malformed galls like that on the leaves. And coming to the symptoms of other plants, the major is banana. It is a toppling disease, burrowing nematode. See how the symptoms will be here. What will happen generally by seeing this, we think that there is because of there is no support to the plant or some other disease might be there, some other external factors might be there. But this is because of there is no strength at the base level. Why? Because the roots have been damaged by the nematodes. So once they goes on damage the main sucker, which is the supporting to the plant, then slowly what will happen is it will slowly tilt towards the other side. So with this, we should immediately go and cross-check the soil, whether there is any chance of nematode load or not. In coming to the second picture, see this is sparse yellowing. Means whatever the fertilizer or water and irrigation given, the plants will not be in a position to observe as good as the other healthy plants are there. They will show slowly, slightly wilting or sparse yellowing like that. So once if we found these kind of symptoms, we should have an habituated to see the soil or the roots of the plant, whether there is any chance of getting roots getting galls, so that we can have an idea whether this is a root not nematode or not. See how the plants are getting slowly wilted. By seeing this immediately, we should see how the roots will be. See, this is also. And coming to the other vegetable crops, this is elephant futium. Generally, it will be observed in the market, but we'll never feel that it is because of nematode. We feel that something, some other pest like that. But these are the galls, root galls, because of the female nematodes getting into the root tuber, and there again it is producing these eggs. Further, it is causing this kind of malformed. And the major problem, as I told you earlier, because of this formation puncturing into that, the rotting will be more for any horticulture crops it is caused, once it is attacked with the nematodes. And coming to here, the see how the roots will be. If it is a galls, this kind of things will be there. Suppose it is a semi-migratory endoparasitic, as I already told you earlier, it will once enter into the root zone, then it will goes from here to that point. It will goes on killing the root cells, so that the what are the traveling path it is there, the entire path will gets into black and malformed. The rest all remains healthy only. If you see even the roots also, we feel that it is not because of nematodes. Why? Because we always think that is only because of galls or nematodes are there, but it is not like that. Even there is any healthy or any some necrotic spots or rings or lesions are there, that is also one of the major symptoms characteristic of the nematodes. See how here roots, these are the galls on cucumber. And if you see the tuberous roots, see how these galls, malformed, angular, curved, bulbous, all these things because of the nematode incidence only. And this is the guava roots. See how the roots are. Generally, the roots should be very healthy with white. And if you see here, once the roots are infected with nematodes, it will be turned into black, totally rotten, or there is a chance of with infected with other fungal agents, that is fusarium or some other bacterial agent. So what are the symptoms? How we can have an idea? You have now seen the external symptoms, how the plant is showing little bit yellowing, sparse, yellowing or wilting, not responding to the fertilizers or irrigation. So general, what are the other symptoms? There will not be any new foliage, and incidence will be more. Suppose if there is any new instance for the disease will be progressing more if there is any nematode chances. Without nematode chances also, the disease incidence will be more, but the nematode incidence is more, especially the diseases which are spreading from the soil zone, it will be more if already the plant has been affected with the nematodes. And again, these are the symptomatic plant parts. See the chili. If you see the healthy chili, there will be good proliferous root growth. If it has been affected with the nematode, see how stunted the plant is, totally stunted. And as I already told you that the females which enter into the root system, how they acquiring the shape, bulbous, root knots. This is called melodogyny. Gender is melodogyny. If it is in the soil, it will be like this. These are J2. With this, we can't know whether it is a male or female, but J2 is common having stylet. This stylet will be there up to fourth stage. Once after getting into the fourth stage, if it is male, that stylet will not be that conspicuous or that well developed. It will not, most of the males will not cause damage. Only females only will cause the damage. So here, if you see the small, thin pointed, dark pointed, this is a stylet. I'll show you the next slide also. See, these are the sweet potatoes. How the potato was malformed, forming or misshaped galls. And these are the females. And as I already told you, the flowers again affected with galls. If you found the plant is not responding properly to the given fertilizer or irrigation, you can stunted growth. You can see how the plant is. This is black pepper, again slow wilt. See this banana, how the galls, root galls. Once galls are there, you can assume that it is root knot caused by meldogeny. If you found these kind of lesions, this can be due to some other than endoparasitic. It is semi-endoparasitic, means migratory endoparasitic. From here and there, it will go on. Rhadophilus, like that, burrowing nematode. So all these kind of nematodes will go on cause damage to the crops. Pomegranate, see how the wilting is there. The plant will show slow wilting. With this, we see that some dry or bacterial disease, but the main culprit is because of this nematodes. See how the roots are formed with galls, totally malformed. If you see under the microscope, see how the root is there. It has been with the female nematode. See here, roots. Colocasia, most of the people you might be knowing, you will be consuming in our regular diet. How the colocasia, here also see, there are no galls, but there is a lesion nematode. Tylanculus, semi-tylanculus, all different genera causing damage to the crops. So next, just a pictorial information, how these nematodes causing damage to the crops. The purpose, see, alone itself is not going to kill the plant, as I already told you in the previous slide. So it aggravates the further incidence of the other pathogens, that is fungi or bacteria. So it will make the complex. Instead of single pathogen, it will create some complex with different pathogens causing the plants to be die at an early stage. See. This is a nematode. This is the stylet. It will just goes here and there. It will punch with this one. Within fraction of seconds, it will punch. This is a nematode life cycle, as already told you, J2, which is the major critical stage or crucial stage causing damage to the plants. After that, up to 4 stages, it will be there. Fourth stage, it will convert into either male or female. Again, if it is female, it will lay eggs and get entrance into the root zone. And nematode symptoms in banana, which is a major topic for today, as it is a year of banana. See, these are the nematode infested corms. This is helicom, and this is the nematode infested corm. And if you see here, generally what will happen is any Panama wilt disease or leaf spot disease are there. General plant, entire plant will go with affected with them. But if you find any yellowing one or the two leaves, or sparse yellowing, or the small yellowing or little yellowing, we can assume or we have to see how the roots are there. Why? Because already infestation once there, definitely it will showing the wiltings. See here the roots are changed, some are black, lesion nematodes, where it will cause damage. If you see the sucker, see how it will be. And this is one more characteristic, as this is the symptoms observed. These are the roots. See, if you see here the galls, as I already told you, it will only go and attacks the feeder roots. These are the feeder roots for the plant. Once the feeder roots attacks, then it will slowly, the galls will form, then the translocation will be disrupted, so that there will not be any location translocation, apical translocation of the food materials will not take place. Obviously, what will happen, the plant will slowly starts wilting. Meanwhile, the other pathogens will come and attack and makes the plant die at a very early stage. Rhadophilus, it depends upon the genera, wherein in the later classes you'll be learning much more on that. Depends upon the stylate and depends upon the mouth structures. There are different genera. If you see here, stylate parts, mouth parts, feeder parts, tail shapes. See here, it is a blunt U shape like that. Some are with sharp points. It depends upon the genera, nematode genera. And these are the symptoms in observed in grapes. These are the citrus, mango, papaya, guava. So majorly with our research, we found that most of the parasitic nematodes observed in Andhra Pradesh are Rhadophilus, Rhodolyncus, Hoplolaemus, Melodogene, Epheloncoides, Helicotylanchus. Epheloncoides, as I told you, that this is the aerial nematode which is causing damage to the flowers. And this is how once if you observe under the microscope, see, and if you cut this tuber, if you observe, this is a practice class. If you observe for overnight, if you see under the microscope, see how the females J2, they're erupting, and one female already starting again going for giving eggs and slowly turning into different shape, acquiring, attaining different shape. And if you cut the tuber, see how different lesions are there. And after observing this under the microscope, this kind of nematode incidents we can observe. See, colocasia roots here also, black lesions, again healthy. With this, unless until you are known at this early stage, you can't have an idea whether this is a nematode or not. So it is very important to have this orientation to know how the nematode cause damage to the roots. If you observe the roots, generally we feel that it is something rotting because of the fungal incidence or not, but it is because of the nematodes. See, these are the flower, as already told you in the first slide only. See how it is attaining the shape. All these have been taken at Kovvur only, all this with the camera or microscope and my camera, how it is attaining the shape. Based upon this shape of this beak, we can identify the genera at the species level also, whether it's incognita, javanica, enterolobi, or arenaria. And this is the turmeric roots and the bottle gourd. See how totally gall formed, totally mummified. Coming to the flower crops, gerbera, especially more in protected cultivation, cucumber. And you may have an idea, you may already knowing little bit information about the nematodes, especially in protected cultivation. The purpose is that nematodes will thrive more once it is provided with continuous supply of water and along with that fertilizers. Why? Because especially in protected cultivation, that is a commercial cultivation, we provide very good quantity of irrigation, at the same time nutrients. The more we supply the nutrients, the more the growth will be there for the nematodes. It will be under continuous monitoring, and moreover, one more thing is that it will have continuous host availability. It always requires plant roots to get the survive. So the moment the farmer is producing one crop, immediately going for second crop because of the construction or because of the availability of other factors. So automatically what will happen, the genera or the load available in the soil, it goes on multiply at the same tempo without any disruption. So what is the source of this nematode infestation? Once you know what is nematode, how it will be, how the damage, how it is causing impact on that, what are the symptoms? So you should have an idea of what is the source, how to manage this nematode. Unless until you know the source, we can't go for manage. Unless until you know the feeding behavior, we can't manage the nematode incidence. So once if you know all these things, what is the source? First is soil and next is planting material. So this is the two fundamentals where we have to be very strong enough, and we should be very strict enough to maintain with the good quality of soil and at the same time planting material. So these are the management schedule. First, we should go for raising of planting material in the free soil, that is virgin soil, without any nematode load. You should have an idea whether the soil has been infected or not. For that, we should take utmost care, either by sending to the nearby labs or sending to the to the Kovvur also. We are doing the soil analysis. So these are the basic requirements before going for taking up any crop. These are the basic things where we should do analyzing the soils. And next fundamental thing is solarization. So if there is a chance, before going further cropping of the thing, you should go immediately for deep ploughing and solarization. These are the fundamentals wherein they are very much effective in reducing the load. As I told you that nematode lives if there is a water. If there is no water, we can reduce the life cycle or 1 to 3 life cycles. Once if we break that one, we can reduce the load. So next followed by farmer manure fortified with bioagents. And next is application of neem cake. So once solidization has been done, along with that, we should go again for the application of the amendments. We call this an amendments, application of neem cake or pongamia cake. And next is choice of the crops. We should always see that crops, as we know that solitary crops are the highly prone to different pests and diseases. Along with that, even nematode is also highly prone. So we should have an idea how the crops cycle or how the general crop families have been affected with the nematodes. We should take utmost care to avoid or to rotate the crops. Instead of going all the time raising the leguminous crops, you change with some other cereals so that we can reduce or lower the nematode load. So these are the management of nematodes. One is physical method, as I already told you that it's soil solarization. Cultural methods, which is very much important nowadays. We should again go with the basics. Instead of again simply going and applying chemicals, we should take these basic things to manage the nematodes. Raising of trap crops, crop rotation, destructing of infested roots in organic matter. And coming to the chemical methods, suppose let us assume that chemical, the soil which has been brought for raising nurseries, at least you should go applying with formalin so that the whatever the load it is there, immediately now itself only we can reduce the nematode load. Once if you go and apply in the soil without knowingly if the nematode load is there, what will happen? It will slowly just acclimatize to the new soil. Again the entire field be contaminated with the soil. From there again, if the farmer is selling that nursery plants to some other new farmer, then the farmer will plant there, that area also will get contaminated. So in order to avoid that kind of further contamination, we should go and apply this kind of formalin treatments. And next is biological method, which has already been in the markets. This application of Pasteuromyces, Trichoderma, Pseudomonas, all these are very effective in reducing the nematodes. Why? Because they have different mode of defense mechanism on nematodes. They are parasitized in the eggs, and they produce, coming to Pseudomonas, they produce hydrogen cyanide, which are detrimental to the nematodes, wherein it will helpful in reducing the nematode load. So this is how mulching. This is application of farmyard bioagents. This availability in the markets, just for information, Pasteuromyces liliaceus, which is very effective against nematodes, which has been highly recommended by the government of India also on all crops. Trichoderma herzianum, Pseudomonas, application of bionematicides. So next, we have to manage the nursery level. Why? Because as already told you how it is getting transferred from one place to another place. One is using of soil, contaminated soil. The other one is planting material. So once if you go using this affected planting material, then automatically we can't avoid that one. So we have to take utmost care in managing the nematodes at the nursery level only. Why? Because horticulture crops are generally raising with seedlings. So once if you buy the seedling which is with the soil, so automatically what will happen? Unknowingly will raise that crop. Without immediately it may not show the symptoms, but the next some coming subsequent seasons, automatically the soil will be contaminated. Then what are the measurements you take? It will no use. So immediately it will go on causing the damage. So these kind of things we have to keep in mind. First is growing tissue culture plants. Why? Because as I already told you in the banana, if the rhizome is being affected, if you raise that same sucker to the new crop, a new field, automatically what will happen? The nematode which is available in the outer soil, it will again come and attack in the new soils. So to avoid this kind of things, we should go for applying, buying this tissue culture plants, planting with tissue culture plants, so that it will be a new soil, so that the plant will be free of nematode. Soilless, using soilless media, air layering, the using of free soil without any nematode, soilization, use of virgin soils, growing of PGPR, as already told you that bioagents, plant growth promoting rhizobacteria. These are all the, so final conclusion is nematodes, as you know that it's a parasitic, it always lives on the other host, means the plants. As we are basically horticulture faculty, we are learning about horticultural crops. where nowadays we are taking utmost care to improve the horticulture segment crops so that to meet the food production of the geometrical growing population. So unless until we know what are the threats or what are the who are the culprits causing damage to the crops, then only we can manage. So as already you might be knowing with about fungi and bacteria, nematodes also nowadays become a very major culprit causing damage to the crops. Unless until you are aware about the how the nematodes, where it lives, how it causes damage to the crops, how to manage this one, then it will not be any useful. So for this, I take this privilege to give you the information available with me to have an idea or to know how the nematodes will be, so that tomorrow you will not face any difficulty in identifying or to educating the farmer about the nematodes. So as and when you observe this kind of nematode incidents in your field level, at your home level, you can be very free to call me or to bring the samples to the Kovvur lab. We will be very much happy to assist you in giving the good management techniques. As we are already doing a lot of technology, we have released from our university also different technologies programs diagnosed in the vegetables and the protected cultivation. And I'll be very happy to share further information also. And with this, I conclude that I hope that students who have participated, who have listened this one, maybe knowing some little bit information about the plant parasitic nematodes. Thank you, one and all.
Students, any questions or any queries regarding to nematode management? I think no questions. I think Harsha, please propose a vote of thanks.
Thank you, sir.
And announce a small whatever we planned for the valedictory. Yeah.
Okay, sir. On behalf of organizing committee, I would like to convey my sincere thanks to Dr. Kishore Kumar, sir, senior scientist, plant pathology, HRS Kovvur, for delivering a wonderful lecture on nematode management in horticultural crops, special reference to banana. Sir, you covered all aspects regarding morphology, a mode of entry into the plants, taxonomy, economic importance of the plant parasitic nematodes and their feeding habit, and the host parasitic relationship, and nematode damage and their symptoms, source of nematode infection, and their control management and management of nematodes in the field level, and nematode management in nursery. You covered all, you discussed all aspects in effectively, sir. Thank you once again on behalf of organizing committee. In spite of your busy schedule, because you are in SLTP, of course, you participated in this program and delivering a wonderful lecture, sir. Thank you once again on behalf of our organizing committee. I also convey my sincere thanks to all students, participants, and staff of HRS Kovvur and remaining teaching staff who attended this program. Thank you one and all. So with this, we completed our 10 weeks program, banana graduation readiness program successfully, and we are running in time. So with this, we are coming to end of the program, and valedictory function was arranged on 15th June. So on the eve of this function, we will be conduct one quiz program. So I request the students who are interested to participate in that quiz program, please give your names, and those who got good marks in that quiz, they will get appreciation certificate on that valedictory function. So I request the students who are willing or interested in the for participating in this program, quiz program, please give your names in our WhatsApp group. That is enough. And quiz will be conducted on these 20 lectures, 10 weeks program only, exclusively on banana readiness program, graduate readiness program. So I hope with this, I conclude today's session. Sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, sure. But please join
Thank you.
for valedictory on 15 or 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock. Okay, those
Thank
who
you.
are having the possibility, because I think at that time you may have the classes also. So make it convenient on the date to attend between 11 to 12. 11 to 12 o'clock.
12. And regarding quiz, we will intimate tomorrow. At what time we will conduct? Hello?
For up-to-date information, you follow the WhatsApp group. So time to time, we will intimate
WhatsApp group. Okay.
Updates regarding to valedictory or quiz or issuing of certificates. Okay, any doubts? If any doubts is there, you can ask.